Hi, I'm a mom of a young person who was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in childhood and with Guillain-Barre in their teenage years. If you found this video, you're likely familiar with one of these immune-mediated diseases. A recap would be that Crohn's disease is a chronic autoimmune affectation of the digestive system, essentially ulcerated gum to bum, and Guillain-Barre is an acute attack of the peripheral nerves by the immune system. I am sorry if you are familiar with these. They are not easy. But today, my young person and I thought we would share a little bit of what we've learned from the perspective of a parent and as a young person to hopefully help you on your journey. The first thing you're going to notice is that my young person is not on screen, but is here. And the reason for that today is that one of the challenges I've had as a parent is balancing out my child's desire for medical privacy versus the demand for information, whether that be fundraising organizations who want to use their story as an example, whether that be friends asking questions as a way of support, or whether it's just not having consent to take a picture when the child is too unwell in hospital to take that picture and doesn't consent. So recognizing that this is not my journey, this is theirs, and that they may not want their peers to become aware of their condition or people down the road. And so that was one thing that's been interesting to balance as a parent. Another parenting challenge that has come across is the vigilance required to be a nurse, especially when they are younger, essentially to a young person, but still retaining the role of being their parent and their greatest champion in all areas. I'm not sure how this is for you, but for me, the first thing when I see this child in the morning is to want to quickly assess how their health is doing and did they take the medication that they need? Are we in a good place of remission, or are we having a flare? When really the child may actually need me to be more of an overall general parent of, hey, how are you? Did you have any nightmares? Or whatever that parent may need. So that's interesting, shifting those hats and being aware of it has helped. Another thing that I found was a common problem for parents, and I found this through some Facebook groups, was the need to try to identify the cause and then the resulting sense of self-guilt or blame as a parent that we might have, whether we blame it on that one time that we had a funny drink, whether we blame it on the cold that we picked up on an airplane. And understanding that looking for these is really a way of us trying to gain control in what is a very scary setting of having a sick child. But knowing that ultimately, if the causes were known, our children wouldn't be struggling with these diseases, our adults wouldn't be struggling with these diseases. And so research continues in these ways to find causes, but just to try to stay away from that thought pattern and recognize why it's coming about and that it's normal, but not helpful. I have learned the importance of medical advocacy through both of these diseases. Guillain-Barre, for instance, is not common in teenagers. So the diagnosis was not easily or quickly made. And the same was actually with our Crohn's disease and with response to medication. These are very individual journeys. So being able to be very conscious of how your child is doing, being able to bring up to doctors, hey, I don't think we're getting the results that you're expecting we're getting. And knowing that there's going to be pushback at times and how to continue to navigate that in an effective and calm manner, but get the help that your child needs to have a really good outcome is important, and it's a balance. Another issue is isolation. So if your child has one of these uncommon diseases, then you are a parent in one of these uncommon situations. And that means that your friends, while they may like to be helpful, likely don't understand the severity of it, and are likely still exchanging complaints about problems that you as a parent only wish you were having. As you know, complaining about a poor report card to a parent whose child has been in the hospital for 2 weeks doesn't help the feeling of connectivity. And yet we do need a lot of help. We do need to reach out in order to be the best supporters we can for our children. One thing that I found helpful in more recent years on that was finding counselors or psychologists who were particularly versed in parenting of medical children. You're going to notice a really disturbing noise right now, and that is the dog running around because life continues as normal. You likely have other children, and that was another aspect to this, is recognizing that these illnesses don't only affect the patient, they affect the parents, they may affect the marriage if that is your situation. They're going to affect the brothers and sisters and the way you're able to be there as a parent for them. So I have, for myself, I found an organization that recognized that and offered supports to more of the family that was not offered within the hospital or traditional medical settings. So I encourage you to look for those things. Recently, something we're coming across is my young person is graduating, and that means that we are going through very standard phases of wanting to branch out, experiment with adult things, perhaps a little bit of rebellion, which are really normal, and we're very grateful to be in this situation, but that it comes with a lot of fear where these things may impact their medical compliance or the progression of their disease. And so just learning how to balance with that as the parent, we have the long view of their health, but the child may not, the teenager, the young person might not be in that phase right now. And they've also sort of grown out of the phase of listening to their parent, thinking their parent is God, like they ever did. But so that is an interesting part to be navigating. And it adds a complexity to having a young person and to having a sick young person. Last part I wanted to just mention to you, a support for myself I was going to bring up was having a regular activity for just the support person that can be maintained throughout most of what's going on. So, for instance, for myself, especially when my child was younger, was to have a babysitter on a regular time and an activity that I went out to where people didn't know our journey. And that, so regardless of how the hospital week had been or the medical week, if we were in remission, if we were in a flare, obviously this wasn't the case when we were with the Guillain-Barre. That was not a possibility. But to have things that I could look forward to and really helped when we were in some of the more difficult times. Although, to be fair, even with Guillain-Barre, we may have brought our ski goggles into the ICU to have something future to focus on and some hope and a goal to work towards. And I'm happy to say we were successful with that one. I'm not sure if this is a journey that resonates with you. For myself, I find that being more of a authoritarian parent or working towards their future is difficult when they are in a healthy place. When you are just so grateful that they are able to run around and make chaos, it can be difficult to rein that in for them and say, actually, you need to think about doing chores or homework or next week, when you're just happy that they're well enough to get to go out and play. But that doesn't mean they're not going to ask you to play every day, all day. So that is something that I have been thinking about and reflecting on as a parent. But I wanted to let you know that today my young person, with following their medical regime and treatment closely, has had no ill effects from the Guillain-Barre, no long-standing ones. It has been over 18 months, and there's no trace of that. So that may give some help to those who know how severe Guillain-Barre gets. And that with the Crohn's disease, currently my young person, with the current medication, as I said, there's a journey of failing medications and trying new ones. With their current one, they are in full histological remission. And this young person is graduating with a sports scholarship, a full set of friends, is graduating from high school, and this is really a time of celebration for us. So I hope that you know that there certainly is the possibility of very good outcomes, and I hope that for you also. This young person is going to now share with us some ideas of how they have worked to maintain their health through this journey. They're going to do so by handing me some items. Oh, okay. Your medical regime, whatever it may be, this person does strive to set alarms on their phone, to write notes to themselves, and is trying to be as medically compliant as they can. That may involve having gotten through some phobias and working through things that were less pleasant, doing some procedures that they did not want to, but they found ways to push through, and that is something that's been very important to them. It has been to be compliant with what their doctors recommend. Unfortunately, one of those times was an extended period of time on exclusive enteral nutrition. It wasn't fun at all, but we did get good results. It was difficult, and my young person succeeded with it and is happy now, years later, that they did that. Stinky soccer cleats, great, so nice. My young person has regularly played sports. They have stayed on a recreational level league that would be accepting of wherever they were at in their medical journey. And in fact, the doctors, the neurologists attributed their good physical health with their good Guillain-Barre syndrome outcome, that they were able to regenerate and get back to activity so quickly. But yeah, having their regular sports activity has been very helpful, and they intend to maintain that. What else do we have? Fishing. As you know, with Crohn's disease, stress exacerbates it, including the stress of the noises that there are outside, or maybe that's just me. My young person goes fishing regularly out in nature, in solitude, finds quiet, and just has time to rest in that way, and they find that's really important for how they feel. Do we have anything else that you would offer up as tips? Friends. This person has strived to maintain their friendships. They have found, sometimes they haven't been well enough to go out, but it's been important for them to maintain those friendships, so they've got that, and that has really helped them out. Oh, and I see the pillow over there. I'm not going to bring the pillow over, it's too heavy. Sleep, having regular sleep and the right amount, knowing that might not jive with what their friends are at, but just really honoring their own body has been helpful to my person. I wish you well in your journey. I'm sorry if you are on this journey. I hope that the tips that this young person here has shared with you, and the bit I've told you about my parenting experience, might make yours a little bit smoother. And let's keep hoping for those cures that we need. All the best.